Hi boys and girls, it's Ms.E and we are ready to move on to the coloring portion of our Modigliani self-portraits. So we've already folded our paper, we did our proportions. If you have not done that part, please make sure you go back. The whole point of doing the Modigliani is to have that kind of elongated proportions. So once you have your pencil drawing ready, we are going to be using colored pencils today. Now, you should have colored pencils from your supply kits for school. If you do not, you can use, whatever you have available at home. Crayons probably would be the next closest thing. I have twistables here. If you have those, you can use those, or you can just use your regular colored pencils like these. Colored pencils will work the best. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a black and we are going to outline over the important pencil lines. Now, you do not have to do every single pencil line, but the important ones would be the shape of the face, and I'm doing kind of smooth, long strokes. And all this does is it sort of makes that pop off of the page just a touch more than it already does. And I'm going around all of the features. You can color in the black of the eye. If you chose to do the eyes completely colored in, like Modigliani would have done, you can go ahead and use your black to color those in right now. I don't care for that all that much on mine. I'm going for a more realistic looking, well, as realistic it could be with a long giraffe neck and features like that. Then I'm gonna do, speaking of long giraffe neck, I'm gonna go down along the edge here. Shoulders, whoop, press too hard. And then the hair, just like that. And I'm not gonna do the inside parts of the hairline because I'm coloring all those in anyway. I am gonna do the ear and then the earring just to make that stand out just a touch more. All right, now I'm gonna talk about the skin tones. Now, here's where it can get kind of funny if you don't have the skin tone that you need. With colored pencils, the thing that is really great about them, a lot like crayons, where I did some tests here, where you see the dark color, this is the same color, these two right here. This is just more pressure. The harder you press, the darker the color will be. And that's the same way, and that's with crayons. The same thing happens with colored pencils. And you can take a scrap paper and kind of experiment. If I press really hard with that brown, I can get a nice, deep, dark skin tone. If I press light with that pencil, same exact pencil, do you see how different those two colors can look? I can get a nice light skin tone. And the coolest thing about colored pencils is I can go back in and I can change the tone of that by adding other colors on top. I can make it more of a yellowy tone by just coloring yellow on top of that. I could have done red or pink over that to make it more of a peachier skin tone. Twistables come, it depends on what size pack you get, but there are some skin tones in some of these. You can use things like oranges. Like if I press really hard, you would think, oh boy, that would be like a really bad sunburn. But the opposite is true, is if you color very softly and lightly with it, you can get a softer peach tone. Now it's still gonna look a little more orange, but you have to kind of make do with what you have. So I'm gonna look through here and see, it looks like I have a tan color. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do this for my skin tone. I'm just going to color it very, very light. So you wanna try to find a skin tone that is somewhat realistic. It doesn't have to match right on, but you don't wanna do things like green skin and red skin and purple skin and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start at the top, and the key to getting this to look good is to keep your lines going in the same direction. I kind of, for this project, I like to work across only because I have less to go. If I work up and down, I have to go up and down, and it's a lot longer of a line. This way, I can work sideways, and it just seems to fill in a little bit faster that way. So I'm just going back and forth, lightly touching the paper, and I'm just trying to keep my lines going in the same direction and overlapping just enough so I don't see any of the white of the page. Now the trick here is that you don't want to press too hard, and you want to keep things going side to side and uniformly on your paper. When you start going in 50 million directions or going down this way and that's when it starts to look a little jumbled and a little messy. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the skin tone part all the way down to the neck, and then I will be back for the next step. Okay. Okay, my skin tone is complete. Now if I want to go back in and I want to add areas where we might have shadow, like underneath the neck, I can go back in and just press a little darker right underneath that area where there might be a shadow. If I want a shadow along the inside edge of the nose, I can press just a little darker under there. So I'm kind of overlapping some of the color, and it's going to give it more dimension, and it's going to make it look a little more realistic. Other areas where there might be shadow is on the ear on the side, along the hairline or the side of the face. So I'm just kind of going back through and just doubling up on that area. So it kind of adds in a little color. You might see more color along the top of the eye where your eyelid might be, or under the bottom of the eye where a shadow might be, under the lip, along the side of the face. So you can see how it's starting to sort of give some dimension along the bottom edge where your collar might have the cast shadow. You don't want to overdo it because you don't want it to look like you're creating lines, but I'm going to kind of blend that in lightly. Okay. All right, now we're going to add eye color. My eyes are brown, so this is self-portrait, so we are going to do brown. And lips, I am going to do a pink tone. If you want to make it look like your lips are shiny, there's a little trick where you can leave a little highlight, where you can leave like a little white mark. So a little bit of the white of the page, and that makes it look kind of shiny. I think we should do the hair next, and I've got a lot of brown going on. I have brown eyes, brown hair. The skin tone that I used was this tan, so I'm going to use the darker brown just to create some dimension, and I have darker brown hair. So same way I did the skin, I'm going to outline. I am pressing a little harder this time because my hair is pretty dark. There might be some areas where I lighten up, where it makes it look sort of like there's some highlights. So you can kind of experiment on a scrap paper and just practice like pressing harder or pressing lighter and see what different tones you can create. Again, where shadows would be, I'm gonna press harder, so like along the edge here, I'm gonna do harder. And then as I get to the outer edge, I might kind of pencil that in a little lighter. So I'm going to try to keep my pencil lines this time going in the direction that the hair would be going. And what I mean by that is because my hair is long, it flows in this direction. I don't want to color sideways on this because that kind of would make it look a little strange. And you can use this to your advantage, where if you color in and you miss a little spot, it ends up looking more like a lighter spot of hair. So you can kind of experiment where you might have darker areas or lighter areas. All right, I'm going to finish up the hair, and then I will show you how we're going to be, I'm going to finish up the hair and the shirt, and then I'll show you how we're going to be addressing the background. Okay, so now that we have all of the figure colored, we're going to address the background. Background cannot be just left white because it looks way too unfinished. You have a couple options. If you have the time and you are enjoying using the colored pencils, I know they can kind of make your hands kind of crampy a little bit from using them for a while, so if you want to work a little bit and then come back to it, you can. The only thing is you want to be careful about your color choices. You want to stick to the neutral colors, so you shouldn't see like rainbows and purples and pinks and all of these bright colors in the back. If you don't want to do the background in colored pencils, what you can do is if you have crayons. I always keep the little nubs of crayons that I have laying around like this. This is just a little black crayon, no wrapper, it's broken. I am going to do the background in this, and I'm going to lightly just kind of turn it to its side, and then I kind of pinch it, and I'm just pushing back and forth. And again, don't scrub like super duper hard. You just kind of want to push back and forth a little bit, and even just that light little haze of color in the background is going to make this really look like it's finished off, as opposed to having that stark white background. Now I'm going to take that crayon and I'm just going to sort of press a little harder along the figure, sort of create a shadow effect behind the figure on this side. So she kind of pops off of the background just even a little bit more. And that's it. Ta-da! So when you're finished with these, they will be posted to Art Sonia. Make sure that you put it under the Modigliani self-portraits. Make sure you give it a title, and then also fill out the artist statement. So I hope that you enjoy this project and you're happy with what they look like when they're finished. I can't wait to see them, and I look forward to our next project together. So have a great couple weeks, and I will see you guys again soon.